This past December, I played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And while playing it, I noticed that there were quite a few similarities to the Uncharted series of games. So, I've made this commentary about those similarities. Let's begin. Oh, look, it's a ship. That's like going over like stars and stuff. This must be like a Star Wars like game because that's how Star Wars movies like start. Afterwards, Cal's friend Prof says something like, "Let's do this like dangerous thing for money and personal gain." Cal's all like, "What if money bad? What if something bad happened?" But then he eventually realizes that maybe money good.
Come on, Cal. What's our score? I couldn't hurt. Huh?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, a sliding mechanic. Wow, that's like revolutionary. Oh, look, a swinging mechanic too. Wow, I don't know where that could have been. That was completely original. I don't know. Like, no other game has ever done that before. Like, and if they have, it was clearly inferior. Like, clearly. Like, that was just like revolutionary. Like, Fallen Order for the win, am I right?
That worked out.
Oh my god. Dude, he's falling, dude. You see this, bro? Like maybe the main character's gonna get like traumatized or something. You know? Oh my god, dude, he's falling. You see this? Like, our main character's gonna get like traumatized after this, alright?
We gotta move.
Oh no, he's still down there. Nah.
You gotta move on and live your life. Find your destiny. Calico!
You were talking in your sleep.
We're all just expendable.
Yes, you are.
Oh no. I just stabbed someone. Maybe they're the villain?
Yes.
Looks like we have a deal.
Yes, we have a deal. And if you ever cross me again,
Oh, no. They stabbed a guy. He might be the villain or something. Because he just stabbed that guy.
That's that.
These next several clips are fairly self-explanatory. So I'll just let them play out.
I gotta get off this thing. Oh yeah, great, more ammo. This'll help. It's okay. Come on.
Another thing that bothered me was the relatively unnatural feeling audio or dialogue that Fallen Order presents. That, you know,
Who are you people?
interactions the characters make with
My
each
name
other.
is Sir Junda.
Contrasted to
This is my
Uncharted's
captain,
much
Three
more
Stripes.
realistic feeling dialogue. Like real people sort of, you know, make these interactions.
Let me listen.
I'll let the next couple of clips
Sounds good.
play themselves out.
You realize we're now even for everything I've ever pulled, right? Yeah, like ever.
No, not by a long shot.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You make a great counterweight. I mean, As well you should.
Walk away.
That's funny.
Shotguns?
Why not?
What the?
What, you only had 2.
Great. All right, just give me a hand with this.
All right.
Ready?
Well, well, well.
It's cute.
What?
Because it's a well.
Shall we?
The only dialogue encounter that I can remember that comes very close to how the dialogue feels in Uncharted 4 is this encounter that I'm going to play now between Cal and Seer.
Hey, Seer, do you have a favorite memory with Cordova?
Our hollow chess games. Cordova was so absorbed in his research, I basically trained myself. But he always had time for a round of hollow chess.
You ever win?
We'd go back and forth. Our approaches were completely different. Just when you thought you were winning, surprise.
Sounds like you learned a lot from each other.
In our own ways, we did.
This next section is called Why Is This Even the Game at All? Now, the first offense is the very large amount of ludonarrative dissonance in both games. How in a cutscene you'll be the character will be empathetic and all, and in the gameplay, you know, they murder anyone who dares to oppose the protagonist.
There's your answer.
But I'm not done yet. There's one more thing that I'd like to mention. This climbing mechanic that is in Shadow of the Colossus, which is a 16-year-old game, just as a reminder, is also heavily present, and maybe a bit more, in Fallen Order. The one thing I do commend Fallen Order on about using this gameplay mechanic is that it's not trying to be as realistic and is a lot quicker. Something else I'd like to touch on is the interactivity in the world of Uncharted compared to Fallen Order. In Uncharted, there are several instances where if you don't interact with a certain object, you miss an entire cutscene, essentially. There are entire cutscenes that can be missed, if depending on where you go in the world. These optional cutscenes really show how much more effort was put into Uncharted than Fallen Order. And besides the force echoes, I haven't really noticed that too much in Fallen Order. Another thing I'd like to mention is how the Uncharted series handles stakes and how it adds tension by having the main character interact with a character that lives in the area that will, by the end of the game, be in danger. Therefore, compelling you to do better to save that person that you interact with in the beginning of the game from whatever peril they may be in. In the example I'm using, it was a very large bomb. Something I'd like to discuss about Fallen Order is that it has this very big open area that you can explore on Zephyr, which is an abandoned town. One thing I complain about it is it doesn't feel very town-like. You don't really get a sense of abandonment. It just feels like it was always this way. It doesn't feel as if someone lived here. On the other hand, the workshops feel very much lived in, but eventually they're just filled with standard enemies. which sort of doesn't make it feel as special as other locations. Whereas you can very clearly imagine how this place used to look like before it was abandoned. What bothers me about how Fallen Order handled that abandoned town is that Respawn Entertainment, the developers of Fallen Order, did this exact same thing almost perfectly in their last game with a single player campaign, Titanfall 2. So, if Respawn did it so perfectly the first time, but subpar the second time, this leaves you to wonder, why would they put a lot less effort into it this time than the first time? 2 letters. EA.
Okay.
Seven months. This 10-minute video took 7 months. I even made like another video with the skills I was learning by making this one during the production of this one. I don't know. This is my first video I bothered with, so thanks again for everything, I guess, and like and subscribe because it's free. You don't have to, just like close your tab or whatever. And hope everyone enjoyed, and if you didn't, feel free to dislike and leave a comment telling me why it was bad or why you didn't enjoy it. And yeah, I don't know how to do these ending things, so I'm just gonna like cut it off randomly.